Let's now talk about some main tenets or characteristics of the contemporary critical discourse analysis. This is important to know in the beginning so that we would be able to understand the upcoming things in this program. I'll just rely on Fairclough and Woodwick's seminal work on defining the main features or characteristics of critical discourse analysis. They provided us a list of features which have been discussed and published in various books and articles. I'll just read them one by one and try to explain them. First one is CDA addresses social problems. At the very beginning, we need to understand that critical discourse analysis is different from other forms of discourse analysis which focus on text and its various meanings in various situations. CDA is very much a purpose-oriented analysis where we try to pick a certain problem which has been generated or reinforced or regenerated or at the same time resisted through discourse, and we try to highlight it in a certain perspective in which the analyst believes in. He has a kind of social purpose. He tries to reform a certain thing which has been destroyed or which has been alluded in a negative way through the text. So critical discourse analyst is a person who has a purpose, and he certainly talks about social problems. Then in CDA it is believed that power relations are discursive. They do not live only in certain relations, or they do not live in certain hierarchies. Rather, they are discursive also. They are negotiated, conveyed, reconveyed, or at the same time resisted through discourse. So power as a phenomena and power relations which govern a certain society are discursive, are negotiated through text, are talk, are discourse. Then discourse constitutes society and culture. Discourse is not something, text or words are not something which are isolated or which can remain isolated from the society in general. Text or words are born in a society as human beings do, and they do bear meanings in that society. So discourse is closely tied with the society, within the society in which it is born. Then discourse does ideological work. Most of the proponents of CDA would believe that discourse is not something which is plain or which has a neutral message. Most of the discourses would have certain ideology being conveyed clearly, openly, or sometimes implicitly. So discourse has certain ideology. This ideology may be religious, social, cultural, that's a separate debate, but every discourse does have certain ideology to convey. This is one of the basic beliefs in critical discourse analysis. Then discourse is historical also. Whatever we say right now has a history. It is built on certain beliefs, certain words, certain discourses which have already been produced by the speaker himself or herself, or by the people he has a connection with. So discourse is very much a historical phenomena. Then there is the link between text and society is mediated. It's not a straight link that whatever we produce has a direct link within the society it is being produced. Yes, it may have a direct link, but in most of the time it is mediated by so many extraneous factors. It may be mediated by the person who is producing a certain text. A text produced by one person may have a different meaning, and produced by another person may have an entirely different meaning. Similarly, produced in one situation may have one meaning, or produced in yet another situation would have different meaning. Therefore, the connection or relationship between discourse and society is always mediated by many other factors. Then discourse analysis can be interpretive and explanatory. Yes, it has to be It has to interpret certain realities, describe those realities, and it has to convey to the reader or to the listener the ideologies, identities embedded in a certain discourse. So in this way, it has to be interpretive and explanatory also. Then discourse is a form of social action. Discourse is not a combination of words only, rather it is an action which is performed in the real world. So and this concept of a discourse is very much similar to the pragmatic view of language. Whatever we say, we do also. So it is generally believed in pragmatics also that we do things through words. The same belief is inherited in CDA also, that we perform certain socio-ideological functions through discourse. So discourse is very much a kind of social action. There are certain points which also are important to be understood in the beginning. This critical discourse analysis is slightly different from other forms of social studies, because here the analyst takes a very clear, explicit position about a certain issue. Let's say he's analyzing the discourse about racism, so he should have a clear view about that kind of racism. Some people might interpret it a kind of bias, but this is not actually bias. Since critical discourse analysis has a social purpose to fulfill, therefore the performer or the analyst has to have a very clear view about certain social evils he wants to dig deep through discourse. Therefore, unlike many other disciplines and the studies in many other disciplines, critical discourse analysis and the analyst who is working on in this field takes a very clear and explicit position. Similarly, when we say critical discourse analysis, it is socially critical. That means that the person who is doing a certain kind of analysis in this field has a very clear social purpose to do it. So in critical discourse analysis, we usually work on the discourses which are related to certain socio-cultural, ideological or identity related problems. Therefore, we call a critical discourse analysis as socially critical.